gentlemen, welcome to Ariel Helwani's MMA Show!
Back in your life on this Monday, October 1st, 2018. Hello again, everyone. I'm Ariel Helwani. Welcome to the program. Welcome to arguably the biggest fight week in UFC history. I am giddy. My man Jake in the back said to me, I am in a mood today, and that's not a negative kind of mood. That's an excited mood. That's a mood that's on top of the world. That's a mood that is so amped, so pumped, so gearing up, so whatever the hell kind of adjective you want to use in terms of this particular scenario for this week, for this show, because I feel a responsibility to kick off fight week the proper way, and that's the way we're doing it, my friends, on this program. A lot of people have asked me, is this the biggest show in the history of the program? I don't know, who am I to say that sort of thing? But I'll tell you, my friends, I've worked on this one for a long time, and I am so proud to deliver this lineup to you, and I am so proud and so excited and so honored to be doing this show on this Monday afternoon here in New York City because, as I said, the road to UFC 229 is clear. We are about to take off, and I like to think about this sometimes when I do the program. I like to think about the fact that everyone is gearing up. Everyone is getting excited. You want to use shows like this as your escape valve as you prepare for what should be an amazing night on Saturday night and a very fun week leading up to it as well. And so you'll listen to podcasts, you'll watch shows, you'll watch clips, you'll read articles. And I'd like to think that people are firing up this podcast on their way to Las Vegas. I like to think that people are firing up this show on the treadmill while you're working out, while you're taking your dog for a walk, on an evening stroll, while you're trying to forget about whatever is going on in your life or at work. We are here for you to talk all things UFC 229, and we are here for you to talk to the two biggest stars in the sport today. The two men who will be headlining UFC 229 will be on this program. There's only one show that they're coming on to talk at the same time frame, not same time, but same time frame, and that's today on this program, and that is very exciting stuff. Before I move along with the lineup, before I give you a bit of an update on what was a crazy week in the world of mixed martial arts, let me first just say it was exactly 1 year ago today in the great city of Las Vegas that they experienced one of the most horrific sequence of events in this country's history. And so I just want to say today, right now, as we're doing this show and as we are preparing to go to Las Vegas, that we are thinking of everyone who was affected by that shooting and thinking of everyone who was hurt, whose family was affected, friends who were affected, anyone who lives in Las Vegas who is hurting today. We are thinking about you, and we are sending good vibes your way, and we will never forget that day. So I just wanted to say that, as Las Vegas is near and dear to my heart. I've never lived there, but I've been there plenty of times, and of course going tomorrow. Just want to say to everyone in Las Vegas to stay strong and that we are thinking about you. So, what are we talking about on the show today? Well, we're talking about UFC 229. Today's program is all things UFC 229 and Bellator 206 because it was a very big weekend for Bellator this past weekend. They had their event in San Jose. It was their first event on DAZN. There was some good, there was some bad, there was some Peppa Pig involved. I mean, it had it all. In the end, Gegard Mousasi retains his Bellator middleweight title. In the end, Roy McDonald gets pretty bloodied up and is headed back to 170, we presume, to be a part of that tournament, which also kicked off on Saturday night. Let me run down today's lineup. Let me fix something here because it's kind of bothering me. Let me run down today's lineup, and then we shall move along with the program. All right. I'm so excited. 229, baby. It is here. And so far, for the most part, and we'll get to that in a second, things are going okay. So this is the lineup. 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Conor McGregor will be on. To the best of my knowledge, Conor McGregor has done one interview leading up to this fight, and that is with the Mac Life. I think he did one with UFC.com as well. Partners, if you will. But he will be on the show. The last time, a lot of people have asked me this, the last time Conor McGregor was on my show, previous era included, was the Monday before UFC 202 against Nate Diaz, the rematch. Just not in the mood to do a lot of interviews, hasn't done a lot of interviews. I am incredibly grateful that he's coming on the show, and I can't wait to speak to him. It is a massive honor. I'm very excited about this. So that's at 4:30. We're talking to Conor McGregor. Spread the word. Remember, February of 2013, via the magic of Skype, eating blueberries without a pot to piss in. It has been quite the journey over the past 5.5 years. I'm looking forward to the next chapter on today's program. 4:15, we'll talk to Gegard Mousasi. Talk about his big win over Roy McDonald, where he goes from here. It seems like Rafael Lovato Jr. is on his mind. We shall see. 3:55, we'll talk to Quinton Rampage Jackson, who evened the score 2-2 against Vanderlei Silva on Saturday night. He finished him in the second round via TKO. A nice performance out of Quinton at heavyweight. This feud started 2-up for Vanderlei Silva. Then Quinton knocked him out in the UFC, and now he ties it up in Bellator. Will they go 5 fights? Will they make it a best-of-5 series? We shall see. Quinton was very introspective. He was very reflective at the post-fight press conference. I'm looking forward to talking to him today on the program. 3:35, we're going to talk to the man who will be calling the action on Saturday night. John Anik will stop by. How about that? Talk to him. Former ESPNer, by the way. Sort of a homecoming. I don't know if he's ever been on ESPN since leaving in any capacity. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll talk to him at 3:35. 3:20, we're going to talk to the first casualty and hopefully the only casualty of the week, Sugar Sean O'Malley. He'll stop by at 3:20. Fortunate news that came out late last night. Sean O'Malley is out of his fight against Jose Quinonez. That fight was announced, by the way, on this show, as you may recall, and he was very honest. He was very transparent as for why he is out. It is a USADA issue. It's interesting that he's the one that announced it, not USADA. USADA recently striking a deal with the UFC to change the way in which they come out with this news. The days of provisionally suspended are over. They're going to wait for the process to play out and then announce the news, which I think helps the fighters. I think it helps, their credibility and their Q rating, if you will. You're not guilty until proven innocent, which seemed to be the case. The one thing I'll say to that once again is, did the fighters have a say in any of this? No, they didn't. And so that continues to be a problem in my opinion. That being said, the majority of the people out there seem to think that this is a good thing. Sean O'Malley came out, got ahead of it because he was pulled from 229 due to the USADA issue. He's going to come on the program, talk for the first time about what all this means and what exactly happened and where he goes from here. 3:05, we'll talk to Michelle Waterson, have her on to preview her fight against Felice Herrig. She's fighting on the main card on Saturday night. She's coming off a big win over Courtney Casey in April. Big fight for the Karate Hottie, and she will join us at 3:05. At 2:50, we'll talk to Aaron Pico, who had a phenomenal performance against Leandro Ego at Bellator 206 on Saturday. This was by far the biggest step up of his young career. He passed it with flying colors. I thought that the stoppage was maybe 30 to 45 seconds late. He TKO'd Leandro Ego, and he did it in a vicious and dominant and ruthless way. He is an incredible fighter. He is one of the bright young stars of this sport, and that is not necessarily breaking news. Everyone knows what Aaron Pico can do, but what he has done as of late, this past year, rebounding from that loss to Zach Freeman at MSG, the 4 fights that he has had, nothing short of amazing. I am so impressed with Aaron Pico, so I'm looking forward to talking to him. At 2:30, my friends, Khabib Nurmagomedov will stop by. And I'm looking forward to talking to the lightweight champion of the UFC. I'm looking forward to talking to Khabib. Last time he was on the program, he was in studio right before 223. So much has happened since then. Of course, he became champion, all the drama in Brooklyn. It is going to be fun to talk to Khabib and, of course, Conor later on at 4:30. At 2:05, friend of the program, Daniel Cormier, the UFC heavyweight and light heavyweight champion, will stop by. It was an eventful week for him as far as John Jones is concerned, and also he is one of Khabib's training partners / coaches over at the American Kickboxing Academy. So good to talk to Daniel Cormier. 1:45, we'll talk to Aspen Ladd about her fight at UFC 229 against Tanya Evinger. She hasn't fought in almost a year. Had the weight issue in April before her fight against Leslie Smith. What is she doing to rectify that, to avoid that? Aspen Ladd is still considered to be, I think, one of the bright young stars at 135 in the women's division. And this is a big opportunity for her. Dominic Reyes is one of the bright young stars at 205 in the UFC. He's on the main card against Ovin St. Preux. Massive opportunity for the undefeated Dominic Reyes. We'll talk to him at 1:30. And finally and firstly, we'll talk to Douglas Lima in a few minutes about his win over Andrei Koreshkov on Saturday to kick off the Bellator welterweight tournament. And now we know that there is $1 million at stake in this whole tournament, courtesy of 50 Cent. Fiddy, a.k.a. Ferrari. Now, before we get to our first guest of the day, a quick update, because one thing that was amazing to me over the past week was that we were inching oh so close to UFC 229. However, all that I was getting questions about for the majority of the week was UFC 230. And I think this speaks to the fact that we just want information, what's next. But everyone has been wondering, everyone has been asking what is going on with UFC 230. That, of course, is the event at Madison Square Garden on November 3rd, which is main eventless. And last I checked in, that remains to be the case. And so the original plan, one of the original plans, was to have Jon Jones on that card. Did not come to fruition. Now they're targeting Jon Jones versus Alexander Gustafsson at UFC 232 on December 29th. But it was an interesting road to get to that point, because mid last week, they actually offered Alexander Gustafsson and Yoel Romero an interim light heavyweight title fight on the condition that Daniel Cormier and Jon Jones would fight at heavyweight on December 29th. Both of them do not want to fight each other at heavyweight for various reasons. They want to fight each other at light heavyweight. So the UFC could not make a light heavyweight title fight on December 29th. Also, that timing did not work out for Daniel Cormier, and then have an interim title fight a month and a half before that. So they scrapped the idea of Cormier Jones. They scrapped the idea of Gustafsson Romero. They moved Gustafsson to December 29th. Romero now no longer in consideration for November 3rd, and they remain main eventless. They have tried to go down different avenues. None of them came to fruition. So as we sit here right now, Nate Diaz and Dustin Poirier both campaigning to fight in the main event. The UFC sort of initially, reluctantly, not really wanting to engage because there's no title on the line. They don't want to do the 165 title. Both of them have said they'll fight at 165 even without a belt. And the UFC just does not want to create that precedent. They don't want to create that belt. And so the whole thing is at a standstill, and we're 5 weeks out. Less than 5 weeks out. It's well, I guess a little over 5. It's November 3rd. Today's October 1st, November 3rd. That's like 33 days, if my math is correct. So every 2 seconds, people are asking me, who's main eventing? Who's main eventing? Who's main eventing? No one knows. And this is egg on their face. This isn't just some arena in God knows where. This is Madison Square Garden. This is the Mecca. This is the world's most famous arena. This is the arena that they brought two of their best cards ever. 6 title fights combined. Conor going for the 2 belts. GSP's return. And we can't find a main event for it. Jon Jones would have been suitable, but man, this did not work out. And so they are scrambling. There's no doubt about it. They are scrambling as we speak. And so we'll see what happens with that one. Trust me, we're on it. But as of right now, there's no real update because there's nothing going on. And then, of course, Jones and DC going back and forth. And now I'm starting to think that that fight is even bigger than the Brock fight. And so we'll talk to Daniel Cormier about all of that. But I wanted to get the 230 stuff out of the way because people keep asking me, let's try to enjoy 229. Let's try to focus on 229. And let me tell you, my friends, ESPN is your home for all things UFC 229. This is just a taste of what we will be offering to you come this week, in addition to this program, which will include both Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov. On Wednesday, special episode of Ariel and the Bad Guy from Las Vegas on ESPN+. It's going to be great. I'll be in Vegas. Chael will be in Portland. Amazing. Wednesday night on ESPN+. I was kind of stalling to wait for the music. I think Jake was a little bit asleep behind the wheel, drinking his proper 12, which, by the way, I also found out is available today here in the United States, October 1st. Thursday, how about this? How about this on Thursday? 6 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2, live from the press conference at the Park Theater in Las Vegas. We'll be setting it up for you and recapping it all, much like we did 2 weeks ago in New York. This time we're doing it on ESPN2. ESPN2. That's Thursday. Friday, live weigh-in show on Twitter will be myself, Brett Okamoto, and Gilbert Melendez, live from Las Vegas for the entire official weigh-ins. We're back, baby. Friday night, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time during the ceremonial weigh-ins. Chael and I on ESPN+, Ariel and the Bad Guy, ceremonial weigh-ins. We'll be showing the weigh-ins, talking about them, the face-offs, the crowd, T-Mobile. It's going to be nuts. That's on ESPN+. On Saturday, 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern, we'll have a live Twitter show for you to get you ready for the main card. All the cast of characters will be there. And then late night, after the main event, post-show on ESPN Plus. Chael and I and the rest of the crew, and also all week long on SportsCenter, we have a lot of exciting things planned for you.